Today we're looking at units of measure and map scales. We're going to start off with the metric system. It's a very clear system, but quite often in class I'm asked, do I multiply and divide by 10, or is it 100 or 1000? So I want to clear that up today by explaining it to you. So milli. Milli, the prefix milli means 1000th. The prefix kilo means 1000. So if we're dealing with millis and kilos, it's going to be 1000. So if I'm going from kilometres to metres, metres are smaller than kilometres, so I'm going to have more of them. So I'm going to be multiplying by 1000. Same with going from metres to millimetres. Metres cubed to litres, again, we're going to be multiplying by 1000. Litres to millilitres, we're going to be multiplying by 1000. The same with kilograms to grams, we'll be multiplying by 1000. And the same with grams to milligrams, multiplying by 1000. So remember, if we're going to a smaller unit, there's going to be more of them, and we're going to be multiplying. Okay, let's have a look at length first of all. So we've got our kilometres, our metres, and our millimetres. What's missing from here is centimetres, a unit that we use in school quite often. So if we're going from metres to centimetres, we would multiply by 100 because there's 100 centimetres in a metre. And to go from centimetres to millimetres, we multiply by 10. So that's the exception. If we're dealing with centimetres, there's 100 centimetres in a metre. You may also sometimes get centilitres. Okay, volume. So a cubic metre, if you can imagine, that's a metre by a metre and a metre high, that's a cubic metre. 1000 litres fit in that metre cubed. Now on here I've just used a typed L. In your books, when you do an L for litres, try to do a curly L, because what that does is it makes it look a little bit different from a number one that you might do. Even if you're just putting a little curl on the bottom of your L, it makes it not look like the number one. And kilograms, grams and milligrams, again, we're going to be times them by 1000. Now you may be thinking, what about a tonne? So there's 2 tonnes written at the top. The first tonne is the metric tonne, that's the one with the NE at the end, and that is 1000 kilograms. Now the tonne, T-O-N, that's the old-fashioned tonne, the imperial measure tonne, and that is 1016 kilograms. So they're not that different in weight, or 2,240 pounds. 2,240 pounds. What we need to remember is the metric tonne is the one that fits in the metric system with the NE on the end, and that's 1000 kilograms. The other word for it would be a megagram, because it's actually 1,000,000 grams in a tonne. One of the most interesting facts about the metric system is that they are all linked together. So if you take a centimetre and you make it into a little cube, so it would be a centimetre cube like this, that would hold 1 millilitre of water. If it was pure water at 4 degrees, that centimetre cubed of water would measure 1 gram. So they are linked to the other units like kilometres, metres and millimetres, but they're also linked to each other by this connection. 1 centimetre cubed is 1 millilitre of water, and if it was pure water, it would weigh 1 gram. Okay, you might want to pause the video here and make some notes on this. It's a really handy table to have in your books or in your notes or on a revision card to refer to when we're working through the next slide and the work I'm going to be setting for you. So once we understand the metric system, we can start looking at map scales, and these can be given in different ways. I'm going to start with the first way, that is a ratio, 1 to 60,000. Now there's no units on this because it doesn't matter. 1 millimetre on the map would be 60,000 millimetres in real life. 1 inch on the map would be 60,000 inches in real life. So at this point, the units don't matter. But when we're using this, we probably want to know about the units. So we can put units in. So we can say, well, 1 centimetre on the map would equal 60,000 centimetres in real life. Now we know 60,000 centimetres be a long way, but it's not really helpful to us. So let's make it into units that are much better for us. So centimetres to metres, from our last slide, we know that we need to divide by 100. So that would be 600 metres. So 1 centimetre would be 0.6 kilometres. And this is something that's usable on the map. Sometimes it might be the other way round, and you might want to get the ratio. So if it was 1 centimetre to 50 kilometres, so I'd say, well, 1 centimetre is 50 kilometres. And before I can go to a ratio, I need to make them into the same units. So 1 centimetre would be 50,000 metres, because there's 1,000 metres in a kilometre. And then 1 centimetre would be 5 million centimetres on the map. So kilometres to metres, we've times by 1,000. And then metres to centimetres, I've times that by 100. So now that they're both in the same unit, I can get rid of the unit and write them as a ratio. So 1 on the map would be 5 million in real life. Now, if you use the most popular map on your phone, which would be Google Maps, it's got something like this. It's got a little line, and then besides that, it tells you how far that line is. So if we measure this line, it would be 2 centimetres. So on my computer, 2 centimetres is equal to 500 metres. My first step is to make them both into the same unit. So I'm going to keep this as 2 centimetres, and that would be 50,000 centimetres because I need to times it by 100. I'd then make it into 1 centimetre. So 1 centimetre, if I'm dividing this side by 2, I'm going to divide this side by 2. So 1 centimetre would be 25,000 centimetres on the map, and so that could be 1 to 25,000. So the skills you need are to be able to go from a ratio to the units, from the units to the ratio, and then also maybe from a measurement that's not quite 1 centimetre like the others, it might be some other measurement, and then you need to write that with the units and make it into a ratio. Once you have this skill and you fully understand the metric system, then the maths maps work that I've set you on MathsWatch and the worksheets should be much easier. I suggest you also start having a look if you've got any atlases or maps, ordnance survey maps in your house. You have a little look at the scales, or maybe just use Google Maps on your phone, having a look at them. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.